For the first time in 2 years, I say to you, cheers and happy Homebrew Wednesday. I felt good. How the heck are you? This is Andrew from Not on Sundays Brewing, and like I said, it's been 2 years. 2 solid years, almost to the week since I posted my last video. And for a couple different reasons, I started to feel the itch again. I'm not saying this is going to become a regular occurrence, but I've been watching, the last couple weeks I've been watching a bunch of the guys that I used to be in heavy contact with a couple years ago. They're still posting. And then a certain competition that some of you may know about is being talked about quite a bit, and it's got me intrigued. So through both of those things, I kind of got the itch to do a video again for the first time. Let me start off by saying I have video footage of probably a dozen or more videos that I shot 2 years ago that I never posted. To those people whose beers I reviewed at that time, who sent me beer that I even recorded and I just never got around to posting, please forgive me. I don't know if I will get around to doing that at this point. That is a long time gone. You may have even forgotten about the beers that you had sent me at that point. But please accept my apologies for that going dark and never following through on not an obligation, but maybe an expectation and something you deserve for sending me those beers. So forgive me. It's been a crazy 2 years. The background you see behind me is not one you would have seen before. A lot has gone on, including a move. So shortly after my last video, and partly due to why the initial break from YouTubing, brew tubing, was because we put our house up for sale and decided to move. We didn't go very far from the location that we were in, but what ended up happening is we actually built this house that I'm in the basement of now. And so brand new construction, and we had a lag time of about 6 months. It wasn't supposed to be that long. It was supposed to be more like 3 months, but it ended up being like 6 to 8 months that we actually lived with my in-laws. And it was a fine experience. It was possibly a challenging experience, but it was all right. But that put brewing on a hiatus for that period of time. So 1, I wasn't brewing at all. 2, I was crazy busy with the move, trying to adjust to that new living with the in-laws thing. But once we got into this house, I did start brewing up again. I've continued to brew over the entire time period except for that 6 months or so, and been still doing a lot of fun things, but in a lot of ways I've kind of simplified my brewing. Still doing some experimental stuff, some fun stuff, but the way I brew has kind of simplified quite a bit. I'll get back to that here in a few minutes, but a bunch of other stuff has gone on. I had some family stuff for a while, dealing with. My boys are now 4, 5, and 6. So that in and of itself is crazy. We unfortunately lost our dog. He was old for a big dog. And so not only did we lose him in this time span, but we now have a new dog. So if you hear some commotion outside these windows, if life wasn't crazy enough, we decided to get a Great Dane. And so he is now almost a year old. He's massive. So, yeah, we're gluttons for punishment when it comes to being busy. But on top of all that, I got a new job, same company, new job, different department. So that was a promotion. So that was pretty cool. And then trying to think the time frame. Shortly thereafter I posted my last video, it was like June-ish or July of 2017. And not too long after that, I and my wife, to some extent too, actually we started at the same time. We really made our minds up that we wanted to start eating healthier, and really focusing on our health and sleep and exercise. And there I kind of went all in on that for a span of probably 6 to 8 months. I went kind of hardcore on it, and where I'm currently at now, I'm down about 50 pounds from the last time I probably shot a YouTube video. And all of it's really, there initially it was pretty extreme. We went super like keto diet with really low to no carbs and sugar and just high fat, high protein. Mix in a bunch of exercise in there, a lot of cardio, and went hardcore on that for a while. Since then, I've reeled it back quite a bit. I still try to eat relatively healthy, but it's nothing super special or scientific or innovative. I just try to do things more in moderation than I used to. I obviously am still consuming beer, so I haven't had to let that go. But man, I've really, for the first time in my life, kind of turned into a runner of sorts, and that started 2 years ago. And have really kind of kept it up to where I'm running probably 3 to 4 times a week at, anywhere from usually 4 to 6 miles at a clip. And it's turned into something I've really learned to love, enjoy, and has brought me a lot of sanity. It really helps me think. It gives me more energy, and something I would have never thought about before. So again, tons of stuff has gone on in the last 2 years, but back to brewing, man. So what's been going on in the last year and a half or so of brewing? Like I said, I've kind of changed my philosophy in how I brew, more methodology. I haven't changed styles of what I'm doing a whole lot. I'm doing a lot with fruit recently, just like everybody else. But the biggest way I've changed my brewing is that I don't brew nearly as often. I don't have as many opportunities. So when I do, I'm typically doing 10-gallon batches, where I was almost exclusively doing 5-gallon batches before. But what I'm typically doing is getting 2 different beers and even 2 different styles out of the same, predominantly out of the same mash. So I will try the best I can with some other process tweaks, that I try to do one main mash and then get 2 different beers off the same mash. So I'll pull up a grist for a beer that works really well with a Saison and an IPA, and I'll get both out of the same brew day. And that kind of spans a bunch of different styles. If I'm doing a lager, I'll do maybe a Pils from the base, and then in the boil itself, when I split the batch, I'll add some specialty malts that I've kind of steeped somewhere else. And so I do a Pils and like an amber lager. So I'm really kind of trying to utilize the best use of my time and the brewing time that I do have to still do a lot of different fun things, but knowing that I don't get to as often anymore. Another thing that's kind of happened is I've stopped buying a ton of beer. I very much brew for me and my friends, and really focus on what I want to drink, because that's about all I'm drinking is what I make. And so that's kind of changed a little bit, that I don't do a lot of like competitions, or I haven't in a long time. I've kind of strayed away from that. There's nothing wrong with competitions, but the philosophy of changing, just like, I'm doing whatever I want to drink and not necessarily for any other intent, has been interesting. But all that to say, I had to sit down and write down kind of a list of stuff that I've been brewing over the last kind of year and a half. So I went through Instagram, where I'm documenting most of my stuff, which is on at Not On Sundays Brewing on Instagram, is where I do a mix of personal beer related posts. But so I went back through that, and it's a fun list. I'm keeping things pretty fun. So I'm doing a lot of hazy IPAs. So cheers to Haze Nation, Lou Brew. Shout out to you, man. You're always an inspiration on the hazy IPA front. A lot of Saison. A lot of variation on Saison, whether it be straight up Brett Saisons. I've done a couple of those. Fruited Saisons. I can get to those here in a second. I did a blonde ale with Cascara. So I did a Saison with Cascara in the past. This was more of a simple blonde ale with Cascara. It was really cool. I did a Saison with green strawberries, so locally picked green strawberries, and Earl Grey tea, which was really cool. I've done a couple different Saisons with Scuppernong grapes. One barrel fermented, one just clean, typically fermented. I did a Goza with raspberries and lemon peel, which was for my wife's birthday, my wife's 30th birthday, and that was pretty awesome. It turned out spectacular. Let's see, I had a big sour project going on for a long time, which was it was 4 or 5, I think it was 5 different blonde sour bases that I then took and blended in different ratios to try to achieve different flavor profiles, and kind of came out with 5 different beers from that. One was just kind of a straight up blend. It was not fruited, but it was really highly carbonated. So it was kind of a shot at a goose style without necessarily being, we'll just call it a blended sour, because it wasn't a 1, 2, 3 kind of year age deal. Some were a little bit younger and a little bit older than others, but you can't really call it a goose style. I did a blend and then apricots. I did one with black and red currants. I did one with locally picked golden figs. And then I did a framboise. I've still got a bunch of that in bottles that's continued to age, so that's kind of cool. Been messing a lot with all the Kveik yeasts, and I'm sorry if I say that wrong. Those things are absolutely insane and really, really fun. I've been brewing a lot with those lately and experimenting. Like I said earlier, I've done some lager brewing. I'm really, really loving just simple, easy drinking beers that are lighter in ABV, that I can come home and have a couple at the end of the night and not worry about my sanity or my performance the next day at work. So I've done a couple Pilsners, an amber lager, so a couple in the lager category. Breakfast stout was amazing this last fall and winter. And then what I've got on tap now, this one that I'm drinking on is a Goza. And then what I did, I fruited it with blueberries and mango. So it's a blueberry mango Goza, and it turned out really, really well. The blueberries were local from here. They're right down the road. And then my sister-in-law actually picked mangoes from trees in their yard in Miami and brought them up here. And I was like, I have to make something with this. It was fantastic. And then the other thing I've got on tap right now is a Berliner Weiss style beer. And it's got raspberries and sumac. So it's sumac's kind of a Mediterranean spice. It's like red along with the raspberries, so it adds some color element too. But it's got this really cool lemony profile that works really well with the raspberries and the Berliner Weiss sour and kind of that lemony lactic tartness. So that's what I've got on tap right now. I've got the Blu-ray Mango Goza, the Raspberry Sumac Berliner Weiss, and so yeah, it's been fun. There's been no lack of brewing over the last year and a half or so. So yeah, that's a quick update. The shed that you've seen in so many past videos is no more. I hated to see the shed go. I love the shed. There's now a basement. It's not quite as unique as the shed was, but it's a lot of space. It allows me to store a lot of my stuff and work a little bit more efficiently when I'm doing brewing stuff. What else? I don't know, man. I'm already at 15 minutes. I've been rambling for 15 minutes. The last thing I will get to is I'll give kudos to the SJ Pour executive team. Not only this year, I've competed in the SJ Pour Challenge once. That was, gosh, was that 2 years ago or was that 3 years ago? I think it was 2. And amazing experience, loved it. And but didn't participate the last year or 2 years. I don't remember. I know there was an off year where there wasn't a challenge. But this year, they, in my opinion, they've done right by opening up the field and saying, brew whatever the hell you want, because you know that's what I like. No limitations, no holds bar, and I will say I like the pandering or playing to the egos of past winners by giving us a bye in the first round. I say us because I'm seriously, I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna sign up, and I'm pretty pumped. I was probably not gonna do it until I thought through it a little bit more and realized that I have some more time, because I would be getting a bye for the first round. It gives me a little bit more time to figure out what I want to do for the challenge and get something made. So I think I'm gonna do it, guys. And if you're on the fence, you should do it too. You should join the SJ Pour Challenge 2019. Go in. If you weren't a past winner, you're going to get into this first round and get to taste some amazing beers. I loved my experience with the SJ Pour Challenge in the past. You drink some kick-ass beer, and it's really, really cool. The only homebrew competition where you get homebrew back that you get to taste and you get to judge. It sounds like there's some cool prizes outside of just winning this year. Looks like you get I think it's a Brew Bro from, who did they say makes those? You've got a chance to win 2 pounds of Yakima Valley hops. And again, you get to taste homebrew from around the country. And then if you make it through that first round, then you get to compete against us. And I'm not saying, personally, I think I got a little lucky in my first go around to the SJ Pour Challenge. I finished 3rd in the U.S. that year. It was the session beer year. Josh Hoover and Kevin Clements beat me out in the U.S. that year, but finished 3rd in the U.S., and so I'm not going to sit here acting like I've got any great chance in this competition or I'm forced to be dealt with, but I'm coming for you. And if you make it to that second round, you better bring your A game, because I'm bringing it, and I know the other past winners will as well. So I think I've convinced myself here, and I'm not going to go on any longer. But to finish this video out, that's hopefully not my last for quite some time, with a go join the SJ Pour 2019 challenge, and I want to see you in the second round, because I'm gonna bring it. Something I may have even just mentioned, I may rebrew, and you're gonna have to compete with something that that you're not gonna be ready for. Guys, it's a pleasure. This is really fun. In my true classic style, a 20-minute video. But hey, it's been 2 years. I'll cut myself some slack, some slack for that. And if this starts up again, I'll keep it shorter, I promise, in the future. Also, I hope to reconnect with a bunch of you guys out there that I have let contact slide and go by the wayside. The other thing that's gotten me back into this is watching all the videos and talk from NHC in Providence, Rhode Island this year. It looked like a blast, and you know where it's coming next year? To the dirty South, Nashville, Tennessee, which is in my backyard. And so I'm making it my commitment to make it to NHC and join you bunch of goobers next year. So plan on it. I need to find somebody to shack up with in a hotel room. So I'm going to be reaching out because I'm going to make it happen. Nashville 2019 NHC. Happy Homebrew Wednesday. It feels good to say that again. Hope everyone out there is doing well, and I hope to see you again soon. Not on Sundays Brewing here. And drink a blueberry mango goza. Why not? Cheers, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.